So we've got a bit of a different card for you today. I just finished assembling the first of two. This is what we called the butterfly accordion card, and you can see how it works. It folds flat. You've got a nice thick envelope that comes with it, and when your recipient receives it, it'll come out like this. They lift up on the ribbon to reveal the beautiful butterflies, as well as the little caption or sentiment there on the side. So we've got another style here. Essentially, it goes together the same, but it's just a little bit different in that it's got different designs. So what I did was I started off with the main strips here. I already have 3 of them assembled. They all go together the same exact way. There's just 4 sides, so for the sake of not being redundant, I'm just going to show you one. But I do want to mention that we've got 4 flowers per side here. So we've got a total of 16, 4, 8, 12, 16 flowers. I've already gone ahead and inked and assembled this whole thing. So I'll show you how it does, or how it works, and then just bear in mind that you're going to need to do this with all 16 flowers. So first off, the flowers themselves here. You can see what they look like when they come off of the mat. And what I did was, this is the texture side, the side that is going to be facing out. This is the underside. We're going to flip it over, take our dowel, and just kind of train each of these petals so that they're kind of curling down. Okay, and that's going to make them kind of rise up off of the paper once we get them all glued. So they're not just completely flat, they're nice and dimensional. And all I'm doing is just kind of curling each of the petals around the dowel. Okay, so that's that. And we've got these little donut shapes here. There's one for each flower. So what we're going to do is just throw a little bit of glue on the bottom of each of these and just center that so that it doesn't obstruct the existing circle in the center of our little daisy. So we're going to repeat that until we have, I mean, you can do an assembly line, meaning, you know, get all your flowers trained, and then put all the donuts on them, and then you can start the process of applying each of the flowers onto each of the strips. Okay, so I've got one left here, and then of course your download's going to come with a blank version of this so that you can stamp whatever you want on it. So again, this could be great for Mother's Day. It could be a wedding card. It could be a baby shower, a wedding shower, you name it. It all really depends on, well, whether or not flowers are appropriate, and in most cases they are. And then whatever sentiment you put on there is really going to kind of shape and determine how you can use this card. So here's our little strip. Again, you're going to have 4 of these. The bottom is right here. It's got this little tab. Okay, so we're going to do a mountain fold there, and then we're going to do a valley fold. I'll just think of a valley and think of a mountain. Mountain's kind of got a peak. We're going to do a mountain fold, and then a valley fold, and then another mountain fold. So that is how our accordion is going to work. Okay. Now, what we really need to do at this point is just take our flowers and glue them into place. You can see each of the little sections that has a hole is going to be for a flower. I'm just putting a little ring of glue around the center. You don't want to put any glue on the petals. And the short petals are going to be centered. You want them up and down. And just get that lined up with the existing hole. And then also take a look and make sure that the petal is nice and centered and has a nice little border, an even border on either side. And these petals should also kind of fit the little shadow area as well. All right, so I'm just kind of moving on up here. And I think the assembly line method for this would be the best, because in that way you can keep the dowel in your hand. You don't need to keep picking it up. Do your training, add your little donut shapes to the flowers, get your strips out, fold them, and then just start applying all of these little elements to your little strip here. Before you know it, you'll be done. This will go quick. If you've got a child, son, daughter, niece, granddaughter that wants to help, I think that they could definitely help gluing these down. And for the most part, again, based on the length of the last video, I would say that you can get this done sooner than you could run to the grocery store, your local supermarket, wherever it is, your Hallmark, and buy a card. You could probably do this in less time. I guess it depends. If you live right next to a Hallmark, that doesn't apply. But for me, it would probably be, I don't know, a 45-minute, hour-long fiasco. And I don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. All right, so here is the sentiment portion. And obviously there's no hole in this middle section. That's how you know where this goes. So just get that glued nice and center. The bottom and top should be flush, pretty much along where the crease is, okay? And we've got all 4 of our strips now. So again, you're gonna repeat that until you have all 4 strips nice and ready to go. So we can put those off to the side for now. And I guess we may as well, just for now, just train these petals as well. This is going on top of our card. Okay, so just take and, again, train them so that the petals are kind of curling downward. This is my surface here, the face, the top, and that's the underside. So it's going to be sitting like that. And let's get this prepped. And I already made one of these. And this is my first time making this one, as it was making this one on video. And it was actually very simple. It's very beautiful too. Very beautiful. Okay, anyways. All right, let's take a look at our structure here. So we're really mostly just interested in these 3 pieces. This piece with the nice scalloped edge is the bottom. And we've got this decorative piece that goes on top. And you'll notice in the corners on this piece, there are some little guides to help you with the placement of this piece. So let's get our glue on this piece. Make sure that you're getting that glue out to the edges so you don't have any of it peeling back or peeling off. Okay, and get a little bit in the center. Don't have to go too crazy. And again, just get that nice and centered within those guides. Oops. And take a look down there at the bottom. They should be kind of overlapping it just ever so slightly. Just use your best judgment on the placement. That looks good. And just press down along the edge. And take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Okay. And now, what we want to do, we don't want to put this piece down yet. This is going to go on last after we get our little strips in place. Okay, so you'll notice on this piece that there are there's 2 little score marks on each side, and that is to help you with centering each little strip. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to put glue on the underside of this tab. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of dab that a minute. All right, and when you place this, obviously, you want it centered in between those 2 guides, and you also want to make sure that, in my case, this purple strip does not encroach onto this blue-green, it's kind of a turquoise color. So you want it to be flush with the edge of, in my case, the apricot or pink, orangey pink piece here. You don't want it to go over beyond that part. So the first one's in place. You can move that out of the way, give that a little press, and just rotate it. Grab your next one, and we're going to do the same thing. Grab some glue, put it on the underside of this tab, get it centered using the guides. Make sure that it is nice and flush out to the edge, and that it does not go over the edge of my pink piece. Press down. Give it a second to get a grip. You can flop it over, push down directly, and moving right along. Okay, grab your glue, center it, and flush out to the edge. Just make sure it's centered. And now that that one's there, you can see how this one lines up nicely with the other one. It's how you know you've got it nice and centered. Okay, we can press down, get that out of the way, flip it. And our last one, you probably know where we're going here. Okay. Get it nice and centered, flush, and wham bam, that part will be done. Just trying to make sure I get it nice and centered. There we go. Lining up nicely. Press that down. You can always fluff up the little petals here at the bottom because I know I'm pressing on them and kind of flatten them out, and that's okay. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a shadow there, a little bit of dimension. It is going to flatten out when you close the card, but it will pop up enough to give it that effect. All right, so all 4 strips are down. We're going to grab this piece here, and you can see that there's a little notch here on all 4 sides, and that is going to cover up these little tabs here. Okay, so what we want to do is try to get this centered so that it aligns with all of these little tabs from the strips, and then just place that down. So let's get our glue on this piece here, work a little bit out to these little notches that are right at the edge there where the strips go. Make sure that we get some coverage there. And we do have to kind of expedite our gluing here because it's a large area so that it doesn't start to dry. And just get a little bit in the middle, maybe a little crisscross there, bam, and get it nice and centered. And I'm looking at the middle here because you also want to make sure that you don't obstruct any of those cutouts. Everything else should line up perfectly. If it's a tad off, don't lose any sleep over it because you're really not going to see the inside all that much anyway. Okay, so there we go. That piece is done. And we can take this and just kind of fold these in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop this under my work mat here just to kind of flatten it out a bit so that it kind of stays for me. They're really springy right now. So let's just pop that under there, let that flatten out. We can move on to this piece here. This is what I'll call our little bridge. One of these pieces has 2 little score marks here, and that is to help you line this up. Obviously you want the circles right on top of each other, but the little score marks there are to help you make sure that it's not slightly at an angle. We want it to be completely, we want 90-degree angles on all 4 sides here. Okay, so best thing to do then would be to grab your glue and get it right up to the very edge of those little score marks there. Okay. And just pop that right on. Follow those little guides, the little score marks there to ensure that you've got it set properly, and press down and just hold. Let that get a good hold. We need that to be nice and strong. Okay, so while that's drying, let's take a look at our little flower here. I've already trained these petals as well. The white one, in my case, the larger one, is going to go on top. We're going to glue these together. So just take your glue, just a little ring of glue there, and when you place these petals on top of each other, you want to go ahead and offset them so that you see the white and then you see the pink, the white and the pink. You don't want them fighting for attention. Let them both get a little bit of the limelight here. And I'm going to peel these back a little bit to create a little separation between the 2 layers. Okay, now we've got this little purple piece, this little purple larger donut that we are going to glue right to the top of our white flower, just to kind of finish it off and give it a little jazz. And just press that down. Whoops. Sometimes this pearlescent white paper doesn't stick as well as the AC cardstock, so I gotta just wait a minute. There we go. Okay, so there's our little flower. Now this little piece here, that is going to hide the ribbon underneath this little bridge, as I'm calling it. And I'll show you how that works in a second. So let's pop out our actual card. And what we want to do is we want to take this, the bridge, and slide it underneath the top layer here, this top flower on each side. So just slide it. Don't worry about where it is right now. Just get it under each flower on the top layer there. So it should be right between, or just underneath that layer, okay? And then just kind of hold it down, maybe with one hand, and then take the little bridge and move it around until it's centered, okay? What we're looking for is we're trying to make sure that, well, that it's centered. We want to make sure that, and it can actually, let's see here, if we can tell how this is going to work. Yeah, that looks good. So again, just try to make sure that each piece here of the bridge is pretty much centered with this piece here where the flower is. As you can see where this kind of curves for this petal, it does create a straight line, and there's a point where it starts going straight, and you want to kind of make sure that it's centered in between that. Okay, so with that said, once everything looks nice and centered, and again, if it's a little off, it's not the end of the world. Do your best to get it centered as closely as you can. And then what we're going to do, we're going to leave 3 of them up, or we're going to leave 3 of them down, I should say. We're going to lift this one up, and we're going to apply some glue right here, just onto this little area. You don't want to go beyond where this thing is going to close, so you don't want anything beyond that point there. And just press and hold that down for a second to get that to stick. Okay. And while you're still, I mean, now it's kind of anchored, so it shouldn't really move too much since that one piece is holding it. Lift up the next side, get the glue out as far as you can without encroaching into the visible area after this is down, and just press that down. Try to get it centered. And you might need to nudge it a little bit to get it centered. And press down. I'm really just giving it some force here. Okay, that almost gave me a cramp. Now look, I didn't have this one centered or under the first little flap, so just make sure that you're gluing it right underneath the first layer here. Okay, and let's get our glue on the next one. Could go a little bit further out. There we go. And make sure it's aligned. Give it a press. And the last one. Everything should be sitting pretty for us now. It looks pretty darn even to me. I'm good with that. I'm happy with the result. And press that down into place. Give it a press. And there we go. All right, so you can kind of grab it like this and you can see what the end result is going to look like. Camera A, and there you go. Okay, now we're going to finish this off with some ribbon. I'm going to show you how this works. Let me grab my ribbon. I've got a nice white satin. And I'm going to take this ribbon and create a little loop for the top so that you can just pop your finger in there. And I got some tape stuck on my finger. Annoying. All right, so let's just cut. Oh, let's see. So my finger is going to take up about this much, but I need some slack so I can feed it through. And I'd say that's probably good. So I'll tell you exactly how much so you don't go wasting a ribbon here. I'll cut that off. And it looks like I've got about 5.5. I'd probably just do 6 inches just to be safe. I might have gone a little crazy there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and just kind of thread it through the top of our little flower. Okay, and take the other end and feed it through as well. Okay, and then bring that down. Leave just enough for your finger so that it's not too tight. You want to be able to get your finger in there easily, just like that. And then take the rest of this and just thread it through this hole. There we go. So that kind of closes off the top, makes it look nice. And then you can see from the inside here, I think, yep, you can see the ribbon kind of dangling there. I've got maybe too much for my little piece to cover, so I'm gonna just snip off a tad, and I'm gonna take my glue and put it on this circle. You could probably cake this on a little bit heavier, get it out to the edges. So this is gonna hold it in place and also kind of hide it. Okay, so I'll show you what this looks like when I'm done. It might be kind of hard to do right now, but try to get it nice and centered, hide that ribbon, and hold it in place while it sets so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm kind of squishing that flower up on top, but that's okay. Again, we can always kind of finesse and fluff things up ever so slightly once everything is said and done and everything's in place. Okay, so that looks good. You can see how that little circle is all glued down. It's hiding the ribbon. And let's pop that back in. You can slip your little finger in there, lift it up, and the card is complete. And of course, just like before, it wouldn't really be complete without an envelope. And we have one. Okay, so let's take a look at it. And it's 2 pieces. So what we want to do is just start folding. Fold everything at your score marks. Now if you have a Cricut Maker, and you've got the rotary, or the score wheel, whatever you want to call it, you can use that. I would recommend using it on pretty much just, well, you could also use it on these strips. I think that would look nicer. I don't recommend it for our 3D projects, but it works great for envelopes. I didn't use it. Aesthetically, it doesn't bother me, but either way, it's up to you. All right, so to construct this guy here, we're going to take this little triangular tab here and just kind of hit it with a little glue, just like that, and then bring it in and tuck it behind this section here and just press that into place. Make sure that you've got it nice and even and lined up, and just give it a squeeze. And then I'm going to move right along to the other little triangular tab here. And my bottle is caked up. I need to clean this thing off. Pardon me 1 second. There we go. This little bit goes a long way. Don't need a lot. Tuck it in, line it up, and just press and hold. Make sure you get it at the right angle there. And just squeeze it for a moment until it sets. So that's half the battle. And then we just need to put a face on this thing. Okay, whoa. There goes an elder bug. Hello, mister. They're starting to come out now. Had a long, hard winter, just like everyone else. Okay, so here's the face of this. What we want to do is start with this tab here. Get your glue on here. And I would put 1 line of glue right out to the edge and spread that out with your finger. Keep the tab at an angle so that when you spread it, it doesn't encroach onto this surface. And then take this face piece and center it. Make sure it's nice and centered. And press that down. Just kind of run your finger along the edge here. Get that into place. And then flatten it out. And I think I know why sometimes my envelopes have a little bit of warping on them, and it's because I don't spread the glue out. Now on this one, I was able to push it down on my table, and that really spreads the glue out. These, we're not going to be as fortunate with. We're not going to be able to put this down on our table because it's dimensional. So I'm going to try to spread this glue out nice and thin if possible. Don't have a lot of time because I've got a lot of area to work with, but I'm going to do my best. And I'm going to do that with maybe a scrap piece of paper because this might get a little messy. So I'm just going to take this and just kind of spread it like I'm putting butter on some toast. I don't eat toast, but I used to. That's fine. Pick up any excess that may have came off. And then just take this and fold it over onto the side walls here. You might have to kind of nudge the walls in so that they line up correctly with the sides. There we go. And that glue is nice and tacky, tackier than it would have been had I not spread the glue out. Okay. And there is our envelope. Now this side needs some help. If ever you run into a situation where you have an area that just didn't want to stick, just grab a scrap piece of paper, throw some glue on it, and just paint it under there. Just get it added. That might warp. This is where that tape adhesive sometimes does come in handy for stuff like this. Mostly for envelopes. That other side looks fine. It's weird too because, well, actually it's not weird because I think I put glue on this side first, so it did dry quicker. But that's the envelope, okay? And it just, you can kind of fold these in, and then this folds down, and this little slit here is for a ribbon. And you can see here, I just kind of, from the other card, I fed the ribbon in, tied a bow, and that's it. So super easy card. I'm sure you can make this one. If you've made anything from our site, you can handle this. So if you love the video, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, we'd love to see it. So take a moment and visit us on the official group on Facebook by typing in Dreaming Tree Group into your little Facebook search bar at the top of your Facebook. Join myself and the 10,000 plus other dreamers who inspire us daily. So again, I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I look forward to crafting with you again.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.